Hello, my name is Jim, and this is your Daily Brogue for July 16th, 2021. So let's see if I can get any farther. So, what we've been discussing, or what I've been talking about recently, in the past couple of, I guess these are episodes. I mean, this is just me talking while I'm playing a game, and no one listening, which is the best. Okay, let's throw a C there. Alright, what is the ring? Regeneration? Lightning and obstruction, okay. So, I've been having a good time talking about what's going on with quantizing time. Last time I just talked about what was going on. So I'd gone to a place, to a conference, and in that conference, what we do, that conference was for two communities, quantum gravity and quantum foundations, getting them together, trying to get them to talk to each other, because apparently they never talk to each other. That's the kind of people they are. And you can't blame them. They're all physicists, right? So they're all introverts. It's hard enough to get them to go to the conference in the first place, even though all their friends are there. Actually, that's not true. Probably that's where all their friends are. These are the real friends most of the time. These are the people that they have the most in common with, sort of thing, and they're most comfortable around. Okay, let's give Emma try darkness. Oh, both hallucinating in the darkness. This is great. This is exactly how you should start your game. And you're saying, well, why should I start the game this way? Well, these are the two worst things that can happen to you. So get them out of the way early. I think there's an eel in here, though, which makes this dangerous. So we're going to come back here. So the hallucinations have stopped. Darkness is getting less problematic. Okay, so the eel's hanging out in front of there. Okay, write that through. Okay, so we've got these two communities and they want to talk about quantizing time. We had two problems. One was quantum gravity wants to make a space-time geometry based on time, and that space-time geometry includes sort of what we were calling last time the update, right? So the update for the game, so if we have this 2D grid being an analog of 3D space, time would be the update, that what happens when you move, the game changes, right? That would be the update. That update is basically time, and actually that has a nice bit to it, because that makes it a little bit, that analogy, right, the update is time, makes the update a little bit more like what's going on with quantum gravity, right? Because what you're looking at here is not a coordinate like in Newtonian gravity, right? Instead, what you're looking at is a just something happening, right? We call things events. Positions in space-time we call events in physics, because that's where something, where and when something happens, that's an event, right? Not a position. A position is the where, the time is the when. It's probably good enough to try the rapier. So we've got a where and we have a when. Then we have a position in space, an event. So the sort of game we play, the thing we're thinking about here, is this F tunneling 2. Well, there's water under that position. So we need to figure out something about space and time, and in quantum gravity, we don't have just one tessellation, one grid. It's actually a discussion of every viable grid. Okay, so that means, or superposition of every viable grid over this space, which means we could put a hexagonal, could have a hexagonal or triangular grids over this space, this 2D game space. And we'd like to find out how to put all these things together to that monkey's trying to kill me, isn't he? So that's why you don't attack jellies in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of your open spaces. You don't attack jellies, right? That's jelly fighting 101. Okay, so since quantum gravity wants to figure out what all these stupid space-time points look like, that's what it cares about. How do these space-time points go together? That's why the quantum gravity community is interested in quantizing time, because we have these little grids on space and in time together, both in space and time simultaneously. And so what we'd like to do is understand how to correctly quantize time. When Randy and I did the podcast episode on loop quantum gravity, we were a little upset because it looked like the quantizing time part was left a little out, right? And it's not really left a little out, except, obviously the biggest names in quantum gravity, loop quantum gravity, were at this conference talking. And worried about the problem. So obviously there is a problem there, but at least the way they think about it right now, compared to 2002 or whatever the papers we read where the podcast came out, doesn't seem to be anywhere near as bad. But they still don't have a good quantization of time, a good idea about what's actually happening in that quantization of time. The second thing is the quantum foundations community. The quantum foundations community have an issue, and that issue is basically the measurement problem. There are other things that go along with it, and I guess we said there were two aspects of measurement that were an issue. One of those aspects was that was, it was the basic measurement problem from your normal everyday quantum mechanics class. What's going on with measuring in the first place, and how does that relate to temporal order, right? Causality in some way. So we talk about quantum mechanics and we say quantum mechanics is random, and it is. Then we ask ourselves, well, how random is it? And it turns out it's causal, right? Very nice paper by the guy that I annoyed, that I was so rude to, that I was talking about, or not a paper, but a discussion about the EPR experiment, or EPR Bell experiments, about how to interpret these things. And there's sort of a level of quantum causality that's halfway between, this is very strange, regular causality and classical causality, the causality that, did it say in package control? What am I doing with my life? So it's halfway between regular causality and I guess an uncausal universe, a universe that, well, I guess halfway between what we call signal causality. And basically signal causality means that you can't signal faster than light. Alright, so when you do these EPR-Bell experiments, these Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen experiments, as sort of reimagined by Bell, I should have done the fire immunity, but that's okay. That could have been codified. Fucking hell. And that's the wife waking up. And so we want to figure out that problem of time there. So we have those two things going on. And you can see they're a little bit related. There were people who did experiments, for example, or proposed experiments more, but people were looking at quantized or entanglement, right, between time and or states in time. Let's say it that way. How do all these things go back together? Oh, there's some food. Probably ought to get the food. I don't see anything else, so I see nasty. More nasties. Let's equip in, not cursed, good. Let's try some of these P shattering. M remove curse. K mapping. O protect armor, that's good. G summon monsters. And more acids. Okay. So the borax goes really good with the ring of transference as well. We'll see if we can kill some stuff with it. Actually, that's a pretty important consideration, is people are trying to find these EPR Bell experiments for quantum for time. So why is that important? Another borax. Never did find a detect magic. Because that gives us kind of an idea about one of the things. Caustic gas that people are looking into, right? And it also corresponds to something I was talking about just a second ago. About these surfaces, this space-time surface idea that I was considering. Fatally poisoned. Crap. No, okay, good. I'm gonna hide in the corner. Cool. I haven't used the enchantings yet. Strength would be nice. So, talking about those surfaces, last time we were talking about the rough surfaces, fractal surfaces. With that entanglement stuff, you have to worry about diffuse surfaces. Surfaces that I'm not telling those very well. Surfaces that interpenetrate. And if you have these interpenetrating surfaces, then another more any good. But if you have an interpenetrating surface, sort of in the time direction, or the time-ish direction, then you sort of lose some of that causality stuff that we were talking about. If the time measurements can sort of be entangled. So that's a little bit weird. But that gives you a diffuse surface in time. That gives you a diffuse rather than a rough present. And then you can have something that's perfectly rough and something that's perfectly diffuse. But even if something was completely smooth, something could be smooth and sort of wavy, a little ahead, a little behind, but not fractal. So that diffuse surface is the other sort of surface that I was thinking about. And so then the question is how do we describe the present in terms of a diffuse time and in terms of a rough time, and then maybe even figure out what a rough time would be, or what that fractal time would be. So those are my thoughts, basically. Took a long time to get to one or two sentences. Let's see what did I do wrong here? One is I didn't invest in that war axe. I knew I had several scrolls of enchanting. If I had just said, okay, screw it, I'm going to invest in that one war axe, things would have been much better, because I'm at a penalty, a fairly hefty penalty, because of the missed strength requirement. But I could alleviate that with these. Plus, I had this ogre here with almost nothing, and I kept missing him with the axe because of that minus 7.5 penalty. And I had a staff of lightning that would have fixed me up there. So that would have been better. Anyways, so I have no idea how many days this is for you. I mean, it's been 2 days for me trying to get to there. Get to those two sentences. But maybe 10 days, maybe only 9 or 8, probably 10 days of me blabbing about that stuff. So anyways, let me know what you think about fractal time in the comments, and we'll do something about that. And if you want a jelly fighting t-shirt, put it in the comments as well. I'm not sure, should I make a jelly fighting t-shirt for every single different thing? How should I envision the jelly? Right, I don't want to envision the jelly like, I'll do jelly fighting t-shirts next time.